Hello everybody, my name is The Strange Eli and welcome to another video. Now, April Fool's was just around the corner, just happened, we just passed it, and something really big that happened, especially for me, is that Rick and Morty Season 3 Episode 1 was dropped. Adult Swim went ahead and released it, and pretty much everyone on the internet has seen it by now and has been making comments about it, and you know, I've been all over Reddit reading theories and threads and all sorts of stuff, and I've just been so excited about watching Rick and Morty and talking about Rick and Morty, especially with my girlfriend who had just watched the whole show. So this video is going to be about Rick and Morty. Now before I go any further than this, I have to say that there is going to be major spoilers for Rick and Morty, especially the Season 3 premiere and some of Season 2. If you haven't watched Rick and Morty and you have plans on watching it, I recommend you stop watching this video now. So if you watched the show, you know that the show is genius. Rick and Morty is one of the most best written shows on television. It's incredible. Everything from little details to jokes to major plot arcs, like just tons of stuff is all intricately laid out and is just all genius. And one of the episodes I actually wanted to talk about as an example of that is the episode Autoerotic Assimilation that goes on early in Season 2. Now, what happens in autoerotic assimilation isn't really all that important, but one of the jokes that really stands out to me and what makes that episode really stand out as a genius episode is that there is a plot in which Jerry and Beth discover a hatch in Rick's garage, which then goes down into a large room where an alien has been tied up. Potentially dangerous, potentially not. Maybe Rick's helping him, maybe Rick's going to kill him and experiment on him. We are not totally sure. All we know is that there is a being locked down there now, and Beth and Jerry now know about it. But near the end of the episode, Summer makes a threat to Rick that, hey, if you don't do this thing, I'm going to tell my parents about the alien that you have locked under the garage. Now, usually, this would be in reverse, though. Usually, near the beginning of the episode, Summer would say something along the lines of, you know, like, if you don't turn around, we can't do this, this is dangerous, I'm gonna tell mom and dad about the being that's underneath the basement. But what happens is that we already have the resolution or the punchline already happen. And then later on, we have the setup, but it's not in a way that doesn't make the joke work. It's like, oh, she's referencing something that's already happened. It's become full circle. These characters are unaware of what's going on in each other's lives right now. So it's kind of funny that, like, they already know all this stuff and she's only threatening Rick with knowing about it. Like I said, if you've watched the show, you should understand that the show is genius. Everything that happens in that show is perfectly written and just done to the T. Now let's go to Season 3 Episode 1. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because the Series 3 premiere of Rick and Morty is insane. The show drastically flips on its head. A bunch of stuff happens. Again, spoilers, but like Jerry is like gonna get a divorce. There's like the Galactic Federation is gone. Rick is no longer wanted by the Galactic Federation. A lot of the Council of Ricks is now dead. Rick has kind of laid out his whole hand and told Morty about all of his plans about getting Szechuan sauce and how that the whole plan of trying to push Jerry out of the family was something that he thought of all along. A lot of stuff happens and a lot of information comes out and not a single second is wasted. However, I don't think that it is all that it seems, and I wanted to tell you my theory today. At the end of the premiere, Rick rants to Morty about how Summer and Morty were only rescued so that way that Rick would be accepted back into the family. It was a part of his plan to get Jerry pushed out of the family and for the Galactic Federation to be destroyed so that way that Rick was the ruler of not only the universe but also the family, and how like he doesn't actually care about the feelings of these people. He really only wants the Szechuan sauce, but something that happens in the background is that the lights flicker, and so my immediate understanding was maybe, potentially, it's a teleportation thing, or there's going to be some sort of time travel, and that's the sort of like the lights are flickering because like something is like about to happen. There's a shift in forces and shit's about to go down. But after watching the episode a couple more times and theorizing and writing down some notes and figuring things out, I think I finally got it locked down on what happens in Season 3, or at least what's happening in that premiere. And I want to go ahead and just let you know what it is. This theory begins right at the beginning of the episode. It's Rick and the rest of his family. They're all kind of sitting around, and one of the things that Rick says is like, and that's how I got to the Galactic Federation. And Morty is like, wow, I wish I could have been there to like experience this. Now, this got me thinking. In every single episode of Rick and Morty, Rick and Morty have been together in all of their adventures. Now, we have intercuts where it's like other people doing stuff, and you know, people will have secrets, or there'll be subplots like I was talking about with the Hatch and autoerotic assimilation, but they're always together in every episode. And so the reason that we don't see Rick's escape is maybe because Morty wasn't there. And that's sort of the joke I think that they were trying to make there, but I think it goes further than just being a joke. And so keep that detail in mind. Now, later on in the episode, when Rick is trying to kind of take over and then use the Council of Ricks to destroy the Galactic Federation, there is a standoff between Morty, our Rick that we've come to know and love, and then another Rick who is holding Summer hostage. Now, Morty kind of blows the cover about this, you know, Rick's bluff, and, you know, tries to sort of like say like, Rick, you're doing this wrong thing, and he's like, of course I wasn't gonna kill Summer. And all of them, including the Rick that's kind of uninvolved, all sort of turn on Morty and start calling him an idiot, to the point where they're sort of like chanting it, and they're like, it's getting like kind of like voices in your head, and it's very intense. And this ends with Morty killing Rick, but unsuccessfully killing Rick. It was a fake gun, and he just rubs off the smudge off his forehead. And so, again, remember this. Now, going back to Morty not experiencing things that happens, Rick has a scene in which he kind of experiences again his family dying, which ends up being a sort of, which was a fake memory or a fake origin story that Rick had made up to confuse an alien that was interrogating him through his mind. The show's confusing, but keep along with me. Now, at the end of the episode, when Rick is ranting to Morty, like I had explained about like the Szechuan sauce and stuff like that, Rick says that like this wasn't about trying to avenge his dead family. It was about the Szechuan sauce. Now, in the memory, one of the members of his family, his fake family that died, was Child Beth. And so Morty should know that this dead family that he's talking about shouldn't exist. However, he continues to kind of go along with it, and I mean, he's cunning enough to like try to escape, but he doesn't fight it. He doesn't question that fact. And I think the reason why is because I think that Morty knows about Rick's fake origin story. And let me kind of explain. So I think that maybe all of season 3 episode 1, that premiere, was a simulation inside of Morty's mind. And now the reason why is because a lot of the characters try to play on Morty's insecurities about him being stupid, or about him not being able to be enough for Rick, because he does explain Rick is always the smartest and he's always gonna make you feel like the dumbest. Simultaneously, in that episode, Morty explains that to Summer, Rick isn't a villain, but Rick shouldn't be Summer's hero. And he goes on to explain that he's like an angry god, or like something like that. And I think that gets played on later when he's ranting. So in Morty's mind, he's going to amp that up to the absolute 10th degree, even though he knows that Rick actually cares about them. He knows that Rick actually cares about things. He knows all this sort of stuff, but it's challenging him, and it's telling him things that he is worried about, and it's playing on his insecurities that are being amplified by the simulation that's being kind of ran in his mind. And now the final detail to sort of put the nail in the coffin on this theory is that after the credits of the episode, we get a scene where Tammy, who is, as we know from the season 2 finale, is a part of the Galactic Federation. Tammy makes a government-funded research project to turn Bird Person into Phoenix Person, or Bird Cyborg. The name is, you know, it's kind of they have a fight about it, but what's important to note is that the Galactic Federation was destroyed. But not only was it destroyed by basically just completely collapsing their currency and their economy. So not only does the government exist in this scene, but a government-funded research project exists in this scene. So I think what this is supposed to be is I think that the post-credit scene is supposed to be outside of this kind of dream slash simulation that Morty is having. And so what he's experiencing is different, or the end credit scene is different than what he's experiencing. I hope that makes sense. I know it's extremely confusing, but I tried to think about this in the most rational way possible. I wrote down notes over here about like what's stuff that happened, and I just like, I wanted to make sure that I was trying to explain this as simply as I could. If you have any questions about this theory, go ahead and write it down in the comments below, because I'm like certain that this is what it is, and I could probably find some sort of kind of evidence to back this up. But if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If they bring back the rating system, go ahead and give it 5 squanchies. And in the comments down below, write me your season 3 predictions and theories about Rick and Morty. What's your favorite episode of Rick and Morty? Is Rick your favorite character? Who's your favorite character in Rick and Morty? What's your favorite kind of plot? Like, tell me just anything in the comments down below. Let's talk about Rick and Morty, and let's talk about things in general. So I will talk to y'all later. My Twitter handle's down here. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.